So you're drinking a Coors Banquet beer out of a Miller Lite ornament, but the Miller Lite ornament has an Ale Trail sticker slapped on it.
No, the ornament clearly says Ale Trail.
Yeah, it's found art, I think.
This is upcycling, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise these would have been in a landfill by now. Okay.
And we just got them last week. Thanks.
In my old Kentucky home. Kentucky.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Kentucky Commons Radio Hour. I am joined here tonight by one David Satterley, John Ronayne, and myself, Michael Moeller, at Brewgrass Homebrew Supply in Louisville, Kentucky. Rainy day outside. This is the second episode of our, I guess, two-part Christmas series.
Oh, yeah.
For the week. I think we're going to release these in the same week to celebrate the season.
We're in the spirit. I don't know. I'm in the spirit now.
The spirit runs through me.
And when it's raining like this in December in Kentucky, you know what you have to say? Say, oh, glad it's not a few degrees colder. This would all be snow out there. Isn't that? Do you people always say that to you?
Yeah, I say that to myself and my dog.
Yeah.
I say that every day. I said that to my dog today.
Them roads be slick as shit.
Yeah, watch out for that black ice.
Yeah,
and the potholes, because there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
Shout out Louisville Metro.
If you listened to our last episode, you'll know that we received some special ornaments from Santa. And if you want to see those ornaments right now, they're pretty janky now and customized with Louisville Ale Trail merch and Scotch tape.
They're upcycled.
But yeah, it's upcycled. So
they're going to spill.
You can actually see those in the comfort of your own home on our Patreon. It's $3 a month for that type of content. And we actually, one of our 2023 goals is creating more content just independently. Like maybe I'll review some hot sauce. Or do like the world's hottest tortilla chip or whatever. Or maybe I'll like sit down and listen to like Ray complain at Monic or something. I don't know. But you can
book club.
Yeah. So it's worth $3 a month. I think you can do that. And you can find that at patreon.com/KYCommons.
I can show you how to make ornaments.
Yeah.
There's a very furious 10-minute ornament making session.
Do you want to learn French? John Ronayne can teach you French.
I'm a top 5% world learners on Duolingo, baby.
$3 a month, and John can tell you...
J'aime la Coors Light. Je billet de perfect... I don't know how to say it.
He's going to need a couple more years.
And if you want to learn what he actually just said, just head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/KYCommons. If you can't subscribe to our Patreon yet, just leave us a review. No guests tonight, just like last episode. So we are going to get into some fun drinks. And to start us off, is David brought something.
Yeah. Speaking of international things, we did... head over to the Void Sake Company out in Lexington, Kentucky. Spent the afternoon over there, learned a little bit about sake, and also getting to try some very tasty beverages.
They make really, really unique stuff. They're awesome.
Of course, in a world dominated by bourbon and beer, cocktails, whatnot, sake is truly untapped in Kentucky, and the stuff those guys are putting out are phenomenal. So we did spend some time in the tap room. We had some cold sake, we had some hot sake, we had some flavored sake, we had some barrel sake. That was pretty interesting too. But what they did have to go was not a bottle of sake, which they had several, but these cool cans. I thought they were neat. You're used to seeing RTDs all over the place, but now we have Emerge Sake Seltzer.
Yeah, we got to try this. I tried it for the first time at the Kentucky Common Festival in Frankfurt, and Void came out as well, and they had a sake seltzer on tap, and I had never had it before. I was like, yeah. And I think one of you all convinced me to drink it, and it was like, holy mother, if you've never tried this, it's a totally unique thing.
Yeah, so this is branded under the Emerge label. So we got two different flavors here, plum ginger and blueberry acai. I really wanted to try both, so I brought them on here. What's unique about sake, if you're unfamiliar with the brewing process, is it's a little bit different than beer, but it's still considered a brewed beverage. They treat the rice grains a little bit like you would treat milling a beer grain, right? But what it does is kind of polishes the rice and pulls off, I believe the substance is called blanch.
Yeah, they put it's like a fungus that they let grow.
Well, no, that's not to that.
Okay.
Prior, yeah.
Educate me, David.
Yeah, so I was working on that. Why don't we taste this real quick? But the deal being
pretty.
that eventually you would go ahead and inoculate this with a koji fungus. And that's what's going to produce your sake. You're going to convert those starches into alcohol. Cool part about sake is it will ferment up to, upwards of 20%, kind of like a wine. That's why, referred to as rice wine. But it's very common for them to be diluted down. I don't know, quite down to 5%. That's what these cans are at. But this is a 5% sake seltzer. And I think after a year of seltzers, this is definitely a neat, different option.
I agree. Yeah. Well, this is plum ginger.
This is a plum ginger.
That's the first thing I get off the nose. It's just a nice little ginger kick. It's crystal clear. I mean, it looks like freaking La Croix.
It smells amazing.
Yeah.
The nose is really incredible.
Bubbly, incredibly effervescent. Man, what is it? It's hard to describe that flavor. So you get it's just very light, very, very, very light and crispy.
It's so dry.
Yeah,
it is. Although I don't know, if you handed this to me just as is and told me, okay, hey, it's alcohol and it's a seltzer, what kind? I would not know it's sake specifically. I mean, I can't. I don't. I guess it's just part of the process in which it's still sake, but this doesn't taste like sake at all.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, if you handed this to me and didn't tell me there was alcohol in it, also wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, it's like a Kroger brand seltzer.
But the main thing I get actually is just that ginger coming off of there. And I get a little bit of that sweetness from the plum, like when it first hits the tip of your tongue.
It's like a sugar plum fairy.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's why we're drinking it, to remind us of the season.
No, it's really good. Well done, Void. And their cans are fun. Their brand is fun. They're good people, and they make really good stuff. So
let's try the other one real quick.
And
I'm just curious how flavors come around in this.
And if you're interested in carrying the Void at your retailer, you should ask them to reach out to Nolan.
Oh, yeah.
Rolling with Nolan.
Yep.
Rolling with Nolan.
Who also just picked up
Ethereal.
Brewing.
Yeah.
Also out of Lexington.
Also out of Lexington. We stopped over there as well. Funny enough, the Void and Ethereal kind of very much related via one Brandon Flown. So a little bit of brewing at both of those facilities. Sort of some inspiring people behind there. Shout out Joe. Shout out Justin, and anyone else that's involved, because this is really good product.
We get more and more people these days come in and ask about sake making, and I know the fundamentals about it, but there's a whole culture. Sorry, obviously it's called Japan, but there's an entire culture of different kinds of the koji, is that what it is? That fungus that they put on there.
So this drink has been made back to 500 BC.
Yeah,
530 BC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is insane.
They take it very, very seriously over there, and you can get as deep into it as you can. Anything, Italian wine or craft beer or whatnot. But it's so cool to see it being made in Kentucky. And I have not had a ton of sake. Most of the time I do, it's at sushi restaurants, and I don't even know what I'm getting or whatever. But they're just some of the best that I've had in terms of just what I like and getting creative with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're really taking the craft into the sake realm. This blueberry IPA has a noticeable little alcohol bite on it. It's a little
much
more
fruitier
detectable.
too.
Yeah.
I get the blueberry in the nose, and I'm not really sure how to say acai or what it's actually what it tastes like, because it's always mixed in with other stuff. But I get what I associate with that flavor. It's kind of like a lychee, light fruity thing in there. So that's really good too.
I've probably drank more sake in the last 2 years than in my life due to trends, and then also me just trying to branch out a little bit more. Excluding this sake seltzer because it just tastes like seltzer water, and I don't get that much out of it. But do you think it is a true definition of an acquired taste?
I would say yes.
Yeah. But honestly, beer to me was too, because the first time I ever had an IPA, I was kind of like, oh my God, what the hell is this? But you drink it and you get used to it. It's kind of what you grow up with. So
the spectrum of approachability when it comes to sake, at least from my experience, is like it's a kind of high bar to just like stand on the floor and squat jump onto it.
yeah, sure.
So it's foreign to us Americans, and two, it's completely different in the world of wine and beer and spirit. So
that's what's cool about Void, because I usually just will drink sake as like part of an experience. Like it's rare that I'll just go out and eat wasabi. Usually my wasabi eating is associated with being at like a sushi restaurant or a nice Japanese whatever restaurant. Kind of the same thing with sake, but going to the Void is an experience in and of itself. So if you're kind of,
definitely,
want to try something a little different on a Saturday afternoon or whatever, like take a little trip, try a little sake, and I think the way they do it makes it more approachable than like
100%
having to
the
like
options,
whatever you said.
I mean, the one I tried, the tangerine dreamsicle. Okay, that was that that didn't taste like sake.
There are some old Japanese like sake guys who are kind of like us in beer, who are like, oh, these fucking kids making this fucking dreamsicle shit. Like,
I mean, so that's your gateway, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to like make it fun, make it
That's a good
approachable.
lesson to learn.
No, I think
That's
this
a good
I think
lesson
this
to
is not the
learn.
gateway.
Yeah, the seltzer's
Yeah.
the gateway.
well, my gateway's opening.
Your gateway's always
and there are 2 sake producers here in Kentucky right now.
Yeah, only 2, and they just opened up within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So
First time I ever had sake in Kentucky was on a hot like June Saturday afternoon at the Kentucky Craft Bash.
hey, best time for it.
And
Hot sake is great.
Hot
It was-
sake on a hot day
It
with a big
was,
barrel of aged imperial stout.
It was great for what it was, but also, I did not need it at that moment. It did. I have been enjoying it more lately, though. It's a fun product. It's fun to experiment with, branch out.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Texas Sake Company in Austin, because I got to visit there, and I went through a sake flight, and it was delicious. And like there is a whole world out there of different things you can do.
Yeah.
A whole new world.
A whole new world.
Speaking of our small little world, we should get into some local news.
Yes. Butchertown Brewing, located in Melwood Avenue Art Center, is opening up a new tap room and relocating completely to the first floor courtyard of Melwood Avenue Art Center.
Honestly, it is. It doesn't sound
It's
like
like
a
it
big
had-
move, but it is a pretty big move. They're notorious
Is it?
for like, well, we're in the homebrew shop right now, and we've got, kind of 2 rooms here. How much smaller is their current tap room than the room that we're in?
Public facing.
Yeah.
Around the same
Third?
size.
About
About the same?
same.
Okay.
If you add in the back before you get to the grain sacks,
Then you're about right.
that's about
Yeah.
the space.
And we're sitting in around 1,400 square feet. So they have a tiny facility over there.
But also to paint a picture, if for those that aren't familiar, like Butchertown Brewing, you have to go to this big facility. It's an open like
You
artist
filmed
space.
the whole video.
I
about
did, but
how to
I
get
don't know,
there.
People might not be listening.
No, I'm
watching.
saying that's how like
Yeah, I had to film a
Yeah, that's
video
right.
to how to get it. Like the joke that we always had was like if for Louisville people, the joke was I know where Highland Coffee is. Well, like I know where Butchertown Brewing is because it is kind of tucked back there. But like you go into this vast, artists center and studio incubator or whatever you want to call it. You have to like find the right door and you have to go up the steps and you have to make sure you're on the right level. Then you have to turn left and like go straight down a hallway. And like you don't know that there's a brewery there.
Yeah.
Granted, Andy, owner and brewer there, has done a pretty good job of making sure people know where he is. But it's always been kind of hard to get to.
Do you think it's like when they taught the mice how to do the maze with the cheese? That's what Andy was really
It's more
doing.
like where the slime mold like learns how to grow to like the sugar source. But I'll so how long have they been open now?
a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. So the story of Butchertown to me is, I guess I kind of knew Andy a little bit, like just through posting in like the local beer social media groups and stuff like that. But I guess when I really got to know him, he was just kind of coming in and he was like, hey, I'm opening a brewery. Like, can you help me learn how to make beer? Which it's like not.
That's a great prologue for the Butchertown Brewery documentary. But
yeah.
Today we're talking about them moving downstairs.
Yeah.
Well, no, all I'm saying is that, right. Well, I was just going to give, since it's a kind of a milestone for them, my own personal history with the brand. But Andy is one of those guys who just figures shit out, and like he would ask intelligent questions and he learned as he went, and like you drink your mistakes and you grow and you make better stuff and new stuff, and he brought on a lot of partners, and like he really has developed a super unique like type of
what are you talking about?
I don't think
Butchertown.
Partners?
I don't think so.
He contract brewed with a lot of different people, and like
he collaborated.
Yeah, collaborated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is a business. I don't have partners.
Well, so I respect him not only as like as a brewer, but as a business owner too, because he really does excel at like scaling. So he started very small, like his whole brewery's in this tiny little spot, and we were talking a little bit about minimum viable product earlier, and like that's really what he did. I really respect it. He makes good beer. He's got a great group of people who would come out and drink it and enjoy it. And I think the move downstairs is going to help even more people find it.
And now it's ADA compliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's on the first floor.
Because it's in the courtyard there. There's going to be signage outside. You will know that there's a brewery to visit pretty much as soon as you get to the core of Melwood Avenue Art Center. Or is it just Melwood Art Center or Melwood Avenue Art Center?
Melwood Art Center.
Art Center is what I
Melwood
say
Art Center.
But the one way you can definitely find it is if you see a Louisville Ale Trail ornament hanging in the window, you'll know you found Butchertown Brewery.
Yeah, that's what we do with all of our brewery partners. We hang an ornament from their all year round.
From their fermenter.
Yeah.
From the fermenter.
Exactly.
But yeah, the new space is much larger. I think it's closer to 25, 26 square hundred feet.
That's awesome.
Is that correct?
I mean, I can look at the press release that I wrote.
Let's go with yes. That's close
That's
enough.
a good size. It's going to double. And my best friend Glenn is going to work there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you all to all meet Glenn again in his new spot.
Do you want me to just read the press release right now?
Please do, Michael.
I just want nothing more.
On the heels of celebrating its anniversary, Butchertown Brewing is relocating its taproom and bar to the first floor courtyard in Suite 187 at Melwood Art Center. The new 1,200 square foot taproom will begin serving its barrel-aged stouts, distinctive sours, and other small batch beers to patrons and members beginning. I'm going to change the date on that one. And here's what Andy Cobb, Butchertown Brewing founder and head brewer, had to say. Over the last year, we've created a lot of memories in our little second-story corner in Melwood Art Center. But as we continued to expand our brewing operations and grow our following, it was clear we needed a larger tap room for our customers. When space opened up downstairs, we knew we had to take the opportunity. We're excited to be able to serve more of our unique beers to our bottle members and regulars, tourists that seek us out, and new craft beer fans. The new location has us sharing the courtyard seating area with our friends at Danny Mac's Pizza and Soul High Vegan Soul Food as well. The new tap room will be able to host 80 customers with expanded week and weekend hours. So not only do you have the new tap room now, but he's also going to be open Thursday through Sunday instead of Friday through Sunday. So
Also, what an excellent press release, Michael. What a great press
I
release.
skipped over some things there that I need to edit.
No, that's good.
Tomorrow, but
That was
very
pretty good.
good. Yeah.
You have a real voice for radio.
Make me want to go there.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. But when you were doing that, the thing that you were doing, I decided to experiment the way that we do with beer, but with sake. So you now have a cuvee or of plum ginger and
You did a cuvee of sake?
I was going for
a
like
sake cuvee.
Yeah, okay.
You don't have it, John, because your glass wasn't empty. You were gone.
Look, cuvee and sake don't work together. Sake, cuvee, but you could do a kake. So this could be a kake.
A bukkake?
Well,
That
know.
I get it now.
yeah.
Okay. Well, you just
Is it good?
I can't stop looking at that ornament.
I know it's gonna spill.
Here, try it.
No, I don't. I'd prefer these flavors separate.
It's a brand new flavor in your ear.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
Okay, so sake cuvee. And speaking of expansion, not every business this day and age is really into that, especially in our local beer scene. I'm talking about Falls City Brewing. They're in the Phoenix Hill neighborhood. They invested heavily into that neighborhood as a prospect of Nulu, I think, kind of expanding a little bit, and maybe some of the other neighborhoods going a little north.
And it's a great piece of property that they have.
Great property.
It's incredible.
But at the moment, the last couple months, they've experienced just a huge, in their scale, layoffs. I mean, almost a third of their workforce has been laid off in the last 3 months. It's terrible to see. I mean, those people have been on this podcast before.
Yeah.
Several of the laid off employees have been guests.
Yep.
It's
the
hard.
former general manager is no longer there.
Yeah.
I know they've lost a lot of front and back of the house people. Is that accurate? And then most recently, the social media manager and the digital marketing manager were have parted ways, I guess we'll say.
Yeah, it's hard for economic conditions, but like we see several businesses expanding and moving, and I think it has a lot to do with the management just taking action and being observant. And I think we saw this isn't exactly a parallel to kind of what we saw in like mid 2020, but like if you're having problems, you got to adapt.
Yeah.
You got to move. You got to change something. You got to inspire and motivate your people more now than ever.
Having thought about it a little bit, I think this is kind of my just broad key takeaway. We just talked about, my respect for Andy, but with Butchertown is that he is so scrappy, so lean, low overhead, grow slowly, scale. He's the blood, sweat, and tears of making that place work. Gallant Fox, you could say the same thing about them, like freaking those guys are there every day. They do it. They're expanding now because of the sweat equity that they put in during their, launch and growth phase. Falls City's kind of the opposite business model. It's a company that started with someone's blood, sweat, and tears 100, 200 years, hundreds of years ago, and went bankrupt. David Easterling, I think, was the local person who bought that old trademark and restarted a brand around it. That company then got sold to other owners, and these people are, people who operate investment groups and just kind of come from, maybe they started their own businesses, but at this point they're kind of, venture capitalists might not be the right word, but they're kind of, investors who are into brokers and acquisitions and that kind of thing. And that's a heavy weight to put on the top of a craft brewery, which, isn't known for having like the highest margins.
It's not exactly a straightforward investment.
Yeah. You have to have a heart and soul to keep some of a homebrew shop is a great example. Like there are days, there are weeks, there are months where it's like, sometimes the only equity is your sweat equity. And what Fall City's facing right now is that there's not as much free-flowing cash as there was when they bought it. And I guess now they're reducing the human cost, which to me is the opposite of what you would want to do. The dead weight is, in my humble opinion, this is just an opinion, the dead weight is the freaking owners at the top who don't care and who don't know what they're doing. What do you do with that if you own it? I don't know. Cut your salary, but don't fire the people who are the heart and soul of your organization. That's my like church spiel or whatever. If you guys have thoughts around that.
Yeah, I mean the individual that they let go, who's fine now, by the way, he has a new job that he's about to announce. So good for him. I'm actually really happy. It seems like he's going to be in a better spot. He was the one. He was kind of the glue. He was holding the front and the back of house together, plus sales, distribution, and everything. And he could see the bigger picture. And now you have, I feel like, segmented parts, maybe, which is not what you necessarily want. In that kind of business model.
Sure. And not all owners are good operators.
Exactly.
And in this case...
Oh, have you been on Twitter a lot recently?
Keeping it real.
I love you on Twitter.
But yeah, I think there's a key differentiator there is that like just not all owners are good operators.
Yeah.
And whether that be philosophically or you just can't inspire people. If you want a good example, just look at the Louisville men's basketball team this year.
Well, you buy a profitable business because you just want to like set it and forget it and have it make money for you. That doesn't work during a recession.
Or for craft beer in general, if
Yeah.
we're just going to be honest. It's not foolproof at
Nope.
all. No.
I agree. All right. Well,
But on the heels of that, I mean, we talked about Butchertown expanding, but there's still brands out there expanding, moving. One of them being Pivot Brewing Company. We were referencing Lexington earlier. They are
Lexington blowing up.
Well, they're coming to town.
Yeah.
Lexington. Pivot Brewing out of there is opening up a tap room on Louisville's Butchertown Road. Very busy street. Michael, I think you've been in touch with them a little bit. Do you know anything about their plans?
Yeah, I actually most recently heard mid-December, which is happening right now. So, I always tell people, like, never set an actual date for when you're going to open, because chances are you'll never actually open on that date.
Yeah.
But, it's going to be sooner rather than later. It's going to be within the next month, 2 months, whatever. It'll happen soon.
As per Kevin Gibson's book, this used to be Louisville. They're going into the old, which building?
I mean, it's next to the Cat Cafe and
I'm trying to think what that was before they were in there.
Highland Fitness.
That might be right.
Yeah, they're going into old Highland Fitness.
Okay.
The gym John King used to work out in. That's what he'll tell you.
And then they also have upped their distribution game. They're canning a ton more now. So like, and part of them coming to Louisville, I don't know. Are they going to brew on site? No.
Taproom only. But they are traditionally, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've traditionally just been known for their cider, right?
Yeah, it's a cider brew. Yeah.
But I do know that they brewed a Black is Beautiful stout with, I think, Monic. No.
Yeah. Ooh, we had it.
Yeah, we had it. It was
Yeah.
great.
Had it that
I
day.
can't remember who it
that
was
was.
with, though.
That was the big sticky one. It was good.
I think
We'll consult the archives.
Yeah, I don't remember. They do brew beer, but I remember that specifically because it was the first beer that I had from them. So I'm curious to see what they're going to be bringing to Louisville and how they adapt to the neighborhood and our consumers here. I think that entire section of Bardstown Road is finally starting to grow. I mean,
Again.
because the Highlands kind of died there for a second. I felt like, especially during COVID,
The Dylands.
the Dylands. But within a mile of each other, you have ATG Public House, now Pivot, Great
Flood's not too far away.
1020. They're on their second tap room, which I don't think we've talked about, but yeah, they opened up a secondary tap room on
In
Douglas
the
Loop.
old Heine Brothers
In the
building.
old,
No, that's a tertiary tap room. That's their third.
Yeah, you're right.
you're right. Yeah, it's their third.
Yeah.
Wow, look at them.
And then if you want like great Mexican food, you can go to El Mundo or Darling's Cocktail Bar.
If you want to pet some cats, you can pet some cats at the pet cafe.
That's a weird mile. A
Yeah.
real weird mile.
Yeah, you can do a lot. You can visit. There's a lot to do. I don't know. But not only that, we finally a brewery decided to listen to our advice and
Framing.
opened up in Norton Commons.
Yeah.
Atrium is opening up a secondary tap room in Norton Commons. That's exciting. As one of our friends earlier said that, you can be sure to visit them on Thursday nights for Swingers Trivia.
You can ride your golf cart.
Golf
there.
cart parking available. Norton Commons is it's an interesting part of Louisville. It's still part of Louisville, so I do appreciate anybody listening that's decided to live there. But it's
like one of those planned communities.
We're getting 1 star for this.
Yeah. From Norton Commons.
okay. I'll tell you what it is, and I'm not afraid to say it. It's like somebody said, "Hey, I really like Old Louisville, but I don't like all the black people." And so they up and lifted Old Louisville for what it was, and they put it out into the East End by like Crestwood, and they dropped it there, and they started having like wine bars open up, and it's couple different Mexican, I think like 4 different Mexican restaurants now there.
Yeah.
They have a YMCA, they have an elementary school, middle school, like it's its own little community that if you never wanted to leave, you probably wouldn't have to.
So there was this whole social movement back around the time. It was actually a little bit before what's called like, quote, the Great White Flight or whatever, where he started like leaving the inner cities and moving out to the suburbs and stuff, where like city planners and sociologists basically started like kind of basically trying to, it's kind of a utopian vision. They were like, how do we plan the perfect community? How do you build things where everything is zoned properly and there's the right mix of residential, commercial, everyone has access to green space? And they really were like trying to build these little what did they used to call them back in the day? Those like the the towns that they would just build out in the middle of nowhere.
It's just like a cookie cutter
Yeah.
suburbia, but
But there was like philosophy behind it.
yeah, the Stepford Wives.
Yeah, that's a good example. So that's kind of the idea. But the thing about like utopianism is that it's fucking creepy. And Norton Commons is just creepy to me,
It is.
man. Like I really do respect the
Anyone
intention, but there has, I don't know. Now we're just shitting on Norton Commons. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we are taking it
Yeah.
into a different direction,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
my fault because
No,
like
it's not your fault. It's Norton Commons' fault.
I remember, by the way,
But those people are good people and they like beer.
well, and that's the thing. Atrium saw an opportunity, and they're taking it. Good for them. I think they're gonna they've done pop-up events there for a while now, so they know that their beer is gonna probably sell there.
It is.
And so that'll be great.
And it's just conveniently located for everybody in the surrounding communities too. Like you can go have an Atrium beer without having to drive. We live in Germantown, so we have everything like proximal and close, and we're like grumpy if we have to go.
It's really not that far. It's
well,
like
all I'm saying is it's nice for people who live out that a ways to not have to come.
them people.
Yeah, well, there's people who live there to have to come in here, which I'm sure they're equally as grumpy about as us having to go out there to get some really good
listen,
beer.
the only other option at the before they went there was World of Beer,
Yeah,
whatever Commonwealth Tap had on, which is a wine bar, but they had some decent beer selections. And Gustavo's Mexican restaurant did a collab with Goodwood.
yeah. Or drive out to Oldham County to visit Third Turn or
Oldham County Brewing.
Oldham
But
County Brewing.
for the love of God, if you're listening to this podcast and opening a brewery in Louisville, get out of Nulu and just go anywhere else. I don't care.
Shively, PRP, that's going to be the next hot one. Go down.
Iroquois.
Yeah, down towards Iroquois, Southern Parkway.
Dixie.
Yep.
People like beer. If
Yep.
you haven't figured that out.
Yep. And craft beer, as Sam Cruz likes to say, and I think we all agree, craft beer is dead. It's about communities. It's about the thing we've just been talking about. It's about having.
That's really awkward coming
Sometimes
from
you
Sam.
want to go. Well,
Third,
yeah.
third space. Third
It's the
space.
third
People want
space.
third
Make a good
spaces.
community space, and people like that shit. And when times are hard, people still drink beer.
Or Wassail.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to try some Wassail?
Yeah, what is Wassail? Because it's been sitting in front of us for the entire episode now. And
WASSAIL.
I hope I spelled that right, but
Wa-
it's like a medieval thing, so it
Oh,
doesn't matter.
I thought it was just like Wassail, like what
Wassail.
Wassail.
So, you've the obvious connection for most people would be the Christmas Carol. You guys want to do it together? Here we come, a wassailing among some fields so grass. Should have looked up the lyrics. Green, and I don't know the rest of it, but anyway, you're probably familiar with that Christmas Carol.
Of course.
Wassail is really, as you described it earlier, just kind of a Christmas punch. It's kind of whatever you want it to be. It's some kind of a mold. You can make it alcoholic. You can make it non-alcoholic for the kids, but some kind of a blend of mulled cider with holiday spices, with a bunch of delicious kind of what would have been exotic fruits during the medieval period, chopped up into it. This is one that I made for us to try a couple days ago. And it's primarily just apple cider with about 2.5 bottles of nice Cab Sauv put in there. I put it into a crock pot and brought it to a simmer, chopped up a couple oranges, couple apples, poured in about 2 quarts of pomegranate juice, and then chopped up about a cup of cranberries, added cinnamon, and then 1 clove of nutmeg that I smacked one time with a mallet and then threw into the pot. Let that simmer for about 20 minutes, and then I actually killed the heat and let it sit in the sanitized container for 24 hours. So all those flavors really got to know each other. Decanted it out of there through a straining cloth into another stainless steel vessel, and then bottled it. So I'm going to give these out to people as Christmas gifts, but we can also try it here. Before bottling, I also poured in 1 more bottle of wine, and then on this one, I put in a 5th of cheap brandy. So it's about it's somewhere between 5 and 15% alcohol by volume.
That's wildly different.
What a range.
That's a legal swing limit. It's in a bottle right now, so I can just like solo dome this right now.
Yeah. No,
is that how I'm supposed to enjoy it?
You can drink it cold, apparently, but the way that it's supposed to be served is straight out of the crock pot into your, family's mouths or your Christmas gathering, people's Louisville beer mugs.
I wish I had Wassail at prom.
I mean, they probably had this when
went
they
to prom?
invented promenade back in the day.
Yeah, I did. I
Easy
went to
with some
prom.
Wassail. So I'm gonna go warm this up for us, and we're gonna have a nice little winter cocktail.
Punch.
Winter punch.
I'd like to punch you.
And we're back.
All right. So imagine that it's Christmas time, and imagine that you live in the Middle Ages, and your life is fucking dog shit. Because you live in the Middle Ages.
He's not that bad.
Yeah, well, it's probably not great. But Christmas time is the one time of the year. So I guess wassailing or caroling or Christmas in general used to be kind of like Halloween, trick or treat. Is it hot? I should warn you, I microwaved the shit out of this. People would get together, like the common people, and maybe imbibe a little bit, and then go around and sing songs outside of like the manor lords' houses or the fucking duke's house or like whatever. It's rich people until they would like throw shillings out at them to get them to go away.
Money?
Yeah, but it was like a thing. It was like a thing. It's like a proto-socialist like way to give money to poor people or whatever, and blah blah blah. I'm not an expert on it, so if anybody knows more about it. Yeah. So anyway, Wassail was like a cocktail they would make to take around with them in like a big jug. It's warming, as you can probably attest. Like, it goes down pretty warm. It keeps you fortified, like to go around and sing for your supper and to get some shillings thrown into your...
So I'm poor, I'm drunk, I'm singing, and I
Yes.
get free money.
Yes.
Life does not suck.
That's what Christmas is all about.
Life
Yeah.
does not suck.
And then tomorrow is Prima Nocta.
Oh gosh. Okay. I really enjoy this drink for what it is. I think it's a lot. This is all I need for Christmas, I think, and
Yeah.
I'm good for the rest of the
It's
day.
a sipper
probably
for sure, yeah.
I mean, it is, but it's not because I want to finish it all at once.
Yeah.
If I have more of this, I'll sleep until Christmas.
It might have a Sephoric effect after you get through like enough of it, yeah. But just red wine, kind of cider notes. You get the spices aren't too strong in there, I don't think. The orange citrusiness comes through a little bit. But more than anything, it's just tastes like Christmas to me.
It does. It's tasty. And if you're curious about the process, if you want to see exactly what all the ingredients went in and want a recipe, that is hanging out on our social media. Just check back about a week's worth of time by the time this episode comes back or so, and you can see how John made it.
Yeah. Now that you guys have had the Wassail, are you going to do the song with me? Or should we just move on to our next segment?
I don't even know what that movie is.
Here we come a wassailing, dink to bumper. I don't know the rest of
You
the
had
words. I should have looked this up.
25 minutes to look up the
Yeah.
lyrics, and
Yeah,
you
you
still
still
didn't.
Yeah. So that one's on me. Merry Christmas.
Who else would it
Well,
be?
moving on to Reddit questions. We have a couple questions here that I thought you two could probably answer, and maybe I'll have an opinion too.
Yeah.
First one comes from Corvus_Wolf.
Crow wolf.
Well, maybe
Corvus, I think, is the taxonomical name for crows.
Okay, you know
posted-
French, but it's not that big a deal.
Yep. Posted on the R beer subreddit. So question, if you got a 4-pack of beer from a store and noticed it was 2 years out of date, what would you expect the store and the brewery do to resolve the situation?
They gotta take it back.
I don't know. I think that's on you.
That's way out of code.
I think it's
So,
like,
so you're supposed to go to like Value Market or Kroger and be like, the beer's out of date.
Bro,
Yeah.
if you buy expired like canned goods, you're taking them back. I mean,
so if you're buying it from like a
it's literally a
nice
canned good. It's not
beer
good,
bar.
but no.
Yeah.
If you're buying it from Kroger, that doesn't matter.
I don't know. I'm not going to take beer back.
That's okay. But the whole, I mean, this is distributor's fault as well. They should be cycling out package, returning it, etc. This is a multi-stage failure. This is not a store worker that just stocks something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. You're not wrong. But there's that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer's trying to get Jerry to buy the peaches from the different stand. Jerry says, "Peaches? I know fruit's a risk. I know that going in. killed that joke, but it was my
the Mackinac peaches.
Yeah,
that don't exist. Yeah,
yeah.
But here's a secondary part of that question is, let's say you don't have that energy to go back to the store and return something because maybe you live like 30 minutes away from your closest store. Do you reach out to the brewery on social media?
Yeah, you probably hit them up, be like, "Hey, you got some old package sitting over here. I bought it."
Honestly, that's actually as people who care about the integrity of the things that we do, it would be nice for someone to let you know, because part of the problem, as you were saying, might be that there's a communication breakdown somewhere, that old stuff like that should not be sitting. It was 2 years as well, right? That's what he said. I mean, if it was like 6 months, it'd be like, yeah, fuck your mother. But if it's like 2 years, that's different. That's extreme. Yeah. I'd just be like, hey, feel free to not respond to this, but I just wanted to let you know that.
No, it has nothing to do with saving opinions of a brewery. A brewery produced a product that they want to be well received. So any brewery, if you tell them, hey, you have 2-year-old product sitting on a shelf, and you tell them where, they're going to call up distributor rep, say, hey, we don't want our product represented that way. Go pull that. We'll pay you. We'll cut you back, whatever. But we don't. Breweries don't want shelf life. They don't want to be represented. They want their beer packaged and sold as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for that. But it is a multi-stage failure, I would have to assume.
You're right, but I'm not that guy. I'm just going to drink it.
You're not drinking a 2-year-old IPA.
Oh, I'll drink it.
I kind of believe him.
Yeah, okay, maybe I do. Next question comes from M16556, which M16. Oh, M16, like the
it's an automatic
Bond,
weapon,
or James Bond.
That's M.
MI
and 007.
MI5, MI6. No, MI6 isn't that the London?
That's
agent?
Mission Impossible. Oh God, I'm so confused.
Isn't MI6 like the English CIA agency?
Let's go with yes.
Well, whatever. They're asking in the context of Central Florida, but put this in the context of Louisville.
Okay.
Or how about this? More at large, Kentucky. I love IPAs. Lagers might be my next favorite. I don't really drink sours. I see sours are getting popular. I'll give it a try, but don't know where to start. What are some must-try sours? Must-try sours in Kentucky.
I mean, I would say start with the Gosa, if you can find a good one.
Who's Gosa?
I would say follow Louisville Ale Trail. They seem to know a lot about beers going on in the greater Skid area.
But you don't have an entry sour that you'd recommend?
Well, I can't think of any there's not a lot of Kentucky-wide staples that I'm aware of that are always available. But if we're speaking more broadly, things you can get in Kentucky would be Duchess de Bourgogne was a good intro sour beer.
That's hardly an intro sour beer.
My first sour was Anderson Valley Goza.
Oh, that's a good one. If you can find the Anderson Valley, that's fantastic stuff. Most local breweries probably have a Goza on these days too. So just go in and kind of ask what a good approachable sour is or whatnot. That's a good move.
I don't really I think the kettle sour wave is still alive and well.
Oh, sure.
So asking for a specific, I don't know. Entry, find a fruit that you like, because they're pretty much all fruited now. Akasha, is there straight goes that they used to do all the time? I don't even know if that's an option. I want to say Ethereal has one, and I'm just blanking on it. I know Blue Stallion does a lot of experimentation with their gozes as well. And I was just trying to think more regionally, but nobody comes to mind as having a real thorough sour program that you can kind of develop your palate into.
I was gonna say there's plenty out there. There's some that come to mind out there that are great with sours, but I also think they're kind of the next echelon up from the gateway sours. Like Gravely has a lot of good sours. I don't think people that don't drink sours are going to necessarily gravitate towards those right away.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like Anderson Valley is honestly a pretty good answer. The little briny melon one that they do or whatever, or the blood orange. It's a great summer beer, honestly.
Yeah, some of the more national brands seem to have a very low what's the Dogfish Head has sea quench.
Sure. Yeah, that's a
it
great
has
one.
More sodium in it than it does alcohol. So
They do like to say that.
Yeah.
I think that's they used to finish those with seawater, so that's not out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
All right, the last question for the night comes from Jim L.I.I. So maybe Jim L. the second. Help! I just got hired to manage the taps at a bar, and I need to learn more about beer. So I went into an interview thinking I was going to be a bartender and ended up getting asked to be the beer manager of the whole operation, including researching and sourcing for the 8 taps and being the expert on the floor at all times. Now I'm an enthusiastic beer drinker and can chat casually about beer, different types and flavors, etc. But by the time I start in a month from now, I'm expected to have a much more robust knowledge so I can chat with beer snobs and such. So if anyone can point me in the direction of any books, video series, podcasts, etc. that you think might help, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Man, I hope they give him a budget to just taste through so much stuff. Experience is huge when it comes to that. Just finding out, what you like, what the differences are, and there's so much education that goes on to a month is. Jeez.
Get into home brewing is my answer. Make some beer.
Yeah, if you can only make
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could come in here right now, brother. We'll talk. I'll hook you. Go into your local homebrew shop and just have a conversation with whoever's back there and be like, hey, can you give me a crash course on beer? You'll learn so much by making 2 batches of beer. And I'm not even saying you have to wait till they're done, but just the brewing process and putting it together, you'll learn so much. It's such a great education.
I don't disagree, but for a commercial setting, I don't know that applies. I don't know that you need to explain how to mill grains and do sparge.
You need to learn what beer is from the inside out so you can talk to people about it.
Okay, have you all heard about this thing called Chat AI, where you can just ask an AI program to teach you how to...
This whole podcast episode was written by Chat AI.
Yeah, we're not even real people at this point. This is all just AI.
So are you saying Chat AI is the answer to this question?
Yeah, ask your local Chat AI.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. In a month's time, you can't really do much. Just what you need to do is you need to surround yourself with people who do know, whether that's friends that are willing just to talk to you about it for free, essentially, or
be curious.
Schedule meetings with sales reps.
Sure.
Because they want to try to sell to you in a month anyway. So they will be happy to talk to you about their brands and flavor profiles and do a tasting. Distributors would do the same. I think you have options and you'll learn more than you think, but you will also need 6 months to 12 months to actually have a true understanding.
And ask these people for more money because clearly they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
What a situation. You're either really 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 impressive individual or you're going into a bad situation if you go in for a bartending job and they're like, hey, can you be a manager actually?
Yeah. In fact, if you're listening to this, send an email to brewgrasshomebrew@gmail.com and we'll talk. Or
8 taps doesn't seem that daunting though. I mean, you can work that out.
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, that's the basis to cover too. You need
just diversify.
A couple IPAs, some sours, a dark beer, lager, and I don't know, seasonal.
No. Hazy, double hazy, pastry sour,
triple
pastry
hazy.
Sour,
triple hazy.
Yeah.
Just to round it out.
That kind of operation could surely last 6 years.
Well, he only has
Somehow.
a month, so it'll last that long.
And to that point, what do y'all want to plug?
The medieval times were probably really terrible.
Okay.
No podcasts.
That's not a plug.
The only podcast was the Bible.
Thanks, Gutenberg. Yeah. Shout out to Gutenberg.
That's mine. Gutenberg. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
David, what do you got?
Well,
sorry.
Is this anti-plug? Should I
No, it's whatever's in your heart, man.
Threw me off. I'm gonna plug your local neighborhood Facebook group. As toxic as they can be, you might end up with a 1956 General Electric fridge that is untouched because some person, I'm not gonna say hipster, but I could say hipster, decided that just wasn't good enough for his beer fridge.
You've upgraded. David got basically it's more or less the same fridge.
It's
right?
the exact same fridge.
Yeah, and you got it for free. That's incredible. That's incredible.
And it's painted red.
Yeah.
So I need to drill some holes in that bitch and make a little kegerator.
Yeah. More.
Shout out to the Shout out to Kenny Payne. Currently sitting at 0-9 U of L basketball. I have never loved a U of L coach more than I have you at this moment.
Okay.
I should have had an anti-shout out.
Oh no, I'm being very positive. Like, that's awesome. I find so much
That's what we're
joy.
here for.
I find so much joy in U of L losing.
That's so mean.
They are currently playing Western Kentucky. I think they're gonna lose that game. I might be wrong by the time this podcast comes out, but yeah, shout out to Kenny Payne.
I think they might have
love
like
you, coach.
like a hex on them this season or something. It seems supernatural.
I gotta go walk my cat.
All right, guys, we are late for our Christmas party with Hometown Brewing, so we got to get over to Vernon Lanes to do some bowling and drink some beer and celebrate the community here. So thanks for listening. Have some happy holidays. We're gonna take off the next couple of weeks for New Year's and whatnot, but we'll be back.
Yeah,
maybe
big things down the pipe.
Maybe we'll be back with some New Year old ale.